Hello everyone, it's Cam from Arsenal Theory Podcast. We're going to be doing the breakdown of Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0 from yesterday. I've had a day to kind of take it all in, and it was an incredible result. And actually, I wasn't quite too sure how to feel about it at the end of the game. It was quite an odd feeling because I really wasn't expecting it. But we're going to come into that sort of later in the video. So let's get down to business straight away, shall we? Get down to things, and let's talk about the lineup, or should I say the lineup drama, because there was a lot of drama regarding the lineup. People online leaking information, leaking news. Saka's in the squad, Saka's not in the squad, he's got off the bus, he's in the crowd. No one knew what was happening. Everyone claimed to know they knew what was happening. Turns out, obviously, he wasn't in the squad at all, and obviously wasn't playing. And when I saw the lineup come out, I was not confident one bit. In fact, I was very unhappy with the lineup. We had Raya in goal, which I understood, and Zinchenko at left back, White at right back, Saliba and Gabriel centre backs. Okay, that's fine. This is where things started getting a bit trickier for me to get my head around. So we had Declan Rice, fantastic, and then Jorginho in the midfield with Declan, which I was not particularly happy about. We then had Trossard and Eddie Nketiah up front with Jesus on the right-hand side. Now, the Jorginho and Nketiah starters, like I said, I was not particularly enthralled about. Particularly Jorginho. He hasn't had a good couple of games recently, and he gave the goal away against Tottenham. And I just felt that with Jorginho in the team and Odegaard in the team, it felt like it might just get a bit too tippy-tappy in there, a bit too passy, and not enough kind of direct action and players that can carry the ball over like 20, 30, 40 yards, which really Odegaard and definitely Jorginho are not going to be able to do, but which I felt we were going to need to do to have an impact on the game. And then Eddie up top, I just thought, is he just going to get eaten alive by the Man City centre-backs, or even their full-backs, because the whole Man City back, they essentially played 4 centre-backs. They don't really have traditional full-backs anymore. So I think it was Ake, Gvardiol, Ruben Diaz, and was it Akanji? I can't actually remember who the fourth defender was. But either way, I just felt that Eddie wasn't going to get much change out of them. And so even though I've been against the Havertz signing, I thought this would be an ideal game for him to start up top, because he's got a good record against Man City, and in the Charity Shield he played really well against them. He held the ball up. Raya or Ramsdale at that point was able to ping long passes to him. So yeah, it was a bit. I was a bit disappointed at the lineup, and I just felt that without Martinelli in the team or Saka in the team, would we realistically, or Thomas Partey, would we realistically be able to get anything against them? Because history would say no. So yeah, I wasn't particularly happy about that. But let's move on. Okay, to the first guy here, David Raya, Rusty Raya. I use that word rusty because he looked real rusty yesterday. I mean, man, he needed some WD-40 put on him because he just looked out of sorts. The first 10 minutes, I was like watching the game like this. He just looked so slow on the ball, and he looked really slow in his decision making, almost deliberately slow. And there were a couple of moments where he misplaced passes out from the back, which invited a lot of pressure on. He received a pass, turned towards his goal and tried to play across the goal, and Alvarez closed him down and actually got too good a contact on it, and it went out for a goal kick. And that could have easily been 1-0, and it would have been a mistake. Now, what I would say is that as the game went on, Raya did get a lot better, and especially in the second half, he kind of showed what he can do in terms of the long balls out. But I'm kind of going to go to something that Mikel said at the end of the game, where he talked about David Raya, and he basically said that, look, I told him to take his time when passing out and to leave it as late as possible to release the ball when you're getting closed down. Now, I'm assuming the reason he was doing that is to invite the City press on, so invite the City players onto him to then create space behind that we can exploit, because we are pretty good with our passing usually. But he was leaving it really, really late. And I think what happened was the first couple of times it didn't quite come off. And Arteta actually said afterwards that, you have to stick to the game plan. If it goes wrong, you're going to be really tempted just to start pinging the ball like 40 yards away or just kicking it out of touch. And he said to Raya, do not do that. If it goes wrong, it's on the manager. It's not on you. Do not do that. Do not let the crowd influence what you're doing. And the crowd were just shouting at him to kick it long. I was shouting at it to kick him long. Gary Neville was saying, hey, why is everyone passing back to the goalie? He's clearly struggling. They should give him a breather and not get him involved in the game. But Arteta is the complete opposite of that. He's like, no, you have to get involved in the game. You have to take those risks, because that's the football I want to play. And that's how we're going to beat Man City. And in the end, Arteta was right and he got away with it today. So fair play to David Raya as well, because him and Mikel were probably the only two people in that stadium that were like, okay, we've got to stick to this. And to be two people out of 70,000 and be right is pretty impressive. So, he, like I said, the first 20 minutes, he was all over the place. He then kind of pulled himself together and got better as the game went on. And it also helped, I think, when Havertz came on later on in the game. But we're going to get into that a bit later on. But he's clearly the number one now. Ramsdale's got a big old fight on his hand. And one thing I will say actually about Raya is that the first 20 minutes were pretty ugly and pretty scary, but he didn't concede. He was lucky and he didn't concede. So he came through that. And, it's always good to have a lucky goalie, in my opinion. So let's move a bit further up the pitch. Not much, but a little bit. William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, gargantuan. I think that's a word. I hope it's a word. It is now. They were both incredible. They gave no change to anyone. Erling Haaland created 0 XG, no expected goals from the positions that he was in. They locked that guy down. In fact, I think Donald Trump should hire Saliba and Gabriel to build the wall that he keeps talking about, because nothing gets through them. They are just incredible. Just fantastic. I can't believe Gabriel got dropped at the beginning of the season. Is Arteta mad? What was he doing? What was he thinking? Crazy, crazy stuff. Just unbelievable performance. Saliba, there was a moment in the first half where we kind of got exposed a bit. City played a through ball through, and it's Saliba and Haaland essentially running towards the ball. There's no one else behind Saliba apart from the goalie. Haaland's going to be in. And they kind of run into each other, and Haaland just bounced off him onto the floor. It was immense. It was beautiful. Just Saliba was like a rock, and Haaland was just like a fly going into it, splat on the floor, rolling around, trying to claim stuff. It was just a shoulder barge. And Saliba yesterday definitely won the fight, if that makes sense. Now, Gabriel as well, he had a clearance in the first half. I wish I could show you the clip. He had a clearance in the first half. It was essentially like an acrobat, where the ball was coming in and he did this acrobatic kind of half volley overhead kick, pinged it straight back out the goal. Incredible defense, incredible bravery by both of them as well. They didn't panic. They were in control with their minds emotionally and with their intelligence. They were both in a really, really good flow. And you need to be against this City team, because they can kill you. They can kill you for real. So excellent stuff from them. I've got to do a banner for them, but honourable mentions for Ben White and Zinchenko. Zinchenko, I will say, I was very concerned for this game. I feel like when he inverts and comes in off the left fullback role, it leaves us a bit exposed on that side and people take advantage of it. We were able to kind of get away with that yesterday. I was doubly concerned when City brought on in the second half Doku, who's a very pacey, jinky kind of winger. And you just felt that Zinchenko is just going to be all wrong for Zinchenko with Doku. But he had a couple of one-on-ones with him, and Zinchenko just took the ball off him. And then after that, Mikel subbed Zinchenko off and brought on Tomiyasu. But apart from that, I thought he had a very measured game. And actually, do you know what? He wasn't as emotional as he's usually been in some big matches. You know, he wasn't going around doing all the fist pumps and screaming and shouting and making mistakes. He was very measured, very calm, very, very cool, and just fantastic. So fair play to him. And Ben White, was his birthday. I mean, he was just immense. You know, he looked like a guy that's like, it's my birthday, I ain't gonna lose. We're gonna win 1-0 and then we're gonna hit China Whites afterwards. You know, that's what he looked like he was kind of gonna do, and that's probably what he did do. So honorable mentions for them. This next guy here, I've got a new name for him. Look at this. Declan Vieira Rice, DVR. That's what I'm going to call him from now on this channel. My word. £100 million and worth every single penny. This guy was incredible yesterday. He's got this this signature move that he does where he'll run in to do the tackle and he'll slide. He'll keep his arms behind him. He'll slide, come in, nip the ball. And because he's already got his arms behind him, he kind of uses that to propel him back up again really quickly and then, you know, create a counter attack. He's like the power. He's got the power of a tank, but on like the body of a motorcycle. It's really strange. And his physiology is just insane. And his ability to cover distances. There were moments where City were on a counter attack. You couldn't even see Declan Rice in the pitch. Like, he was obviously on there because of the camera angle. He just wasn't in the screen. And then suddenly you'll see this guy just kind of turn up, make the counter tackle, flip the play around, and we're back at them. Just worth every single penny. Very, very Vieira-esque performance. You know, I can't believe it's taken us like nearly 20 years to get a player like that after Vieira's been and gone. It's just insane how for that long we were trying to chug along without someone like that in the team. And I really hope we can get more like him. You know, who's the next kind of Declan Rice, or what's the attacking midfield equivalent of a Declan Rice? Maybe Smith Rowe? Probably not. But up front, is there another player at that kind of level that we can go for? Because we've got one now, and we just want to get some more in there, I think. So yeah, he was incredible. Arguably, I think Martinelli got man of the match, but there's an argument to say that it should have been Declan Rice or Saliba. In fact, Declan Rice actually cleared a goal off the line as well. So I would have given man of the match, because I think clearing a goal off the line is going to score one, really, when you think about it. So, you know, he probably should have had man of the match, but no major kind of complaints from me. But just an incredible performance, made doubly hard by the fact that Jorginho, who I actually thought had a good game, but he got booked really early on. He got booked on like the 10th or 11th minute. And so obviously he can't really dive in to do any tackles or anything at that point. But to be fair, Jorginho played a lot better than I thought it was going to be, or how I thought it was going to go. So honourable mentions for him. Incredible stuff. So first half finishes 0-0. Very, very tight game. Very, very controlled game from both sides. Tactically, there's a lot going on. Arsenal, you know, in the first half, really were inviting City on and trying to play out through them. But also in terms of our press against when City had the ball, Odegaard was leading the press against City, but we weren't over-committing in the press, which had happened before with other teams, and again, especially to City, where Arsenal overcommit to the press. We then get out of position. City do a couple of passes like that. They're straight through, and you know they're hitting us on the transition. We managed that really, really well in the first half, but we did show some nerves as well. The first 5 minutes were not pretty at all. So Mikel gets them in at half time, and I don't know what he said to them, but whatever it was, it worked. Trossard came off, Martinelli came on, and that really signaled the start of the change of how the game was going. And it was very tight. It was very, very tight. And the Mikel decided to roll the dice a bit with about 25 minutes to go. And he brought on Partey. He brought on, who else did he bring on? My mind's gone blank now. Havertz, obviously, yeah, Partey, Havertz, and Tomiyasu. Still excited about the match. And that three, along with Martinelli, actually combined to create the goal that we scored and won us the game. Up until that point, though, you could almost feel like the game was petering out a bit. Maybe both teams had decided that, okay, you know what, neither of us is really going to lay a big punch here. So we're just going to accept this is what it is. And enough opportunity arises, then one of us will try and take it. If it's going to be a mistake that maybe changes the game. And it was actually a Thomas Partey ball that changed things around. He's basically in the right back position, lumps it forward to Tomiyasu, who's really high up the pitch. Don't normally see him that high up on the edge of the area. He heads it onto Havertz, who I thought was going to hit it first time, but he didn't. He kind of chests it down, lays it off to Martinelli, who tries to curl a shot into the outside corner of the City goal, hits Ake on the head. Nothing Ake can really do about it. Deflects. Ederson's got no chance. Arsenal 1-0. We're starting to believe now. We're starting to believe we can do it. We've just got a few minutes left in injury time. Can we hold on? Crowd's going wild. I was stunned. I was shocked because I thought the game was going to finish 0-0. I didn't think we were going to score that goal because we hadn't. Neither side had really created a clear opportunity in that second half. City had clear opportunities in the first half, but Arsenal didn't really. And Nketiah got into a couple of positions. Jesus had a couple of kind of chances to cut things back and kind of maybe have like half an attempt on goal, but it wasn't really clear cut. Odegaard had a couple of real long shots that just went way over or way wide. So if anything was going to happen, it was probably going to be through Martinelli, because as soon as he came on, you could see that he had the bit between his teeth. He looked really sharp, considering he's been out injured since the Everton games. It's been like nearly a month now. And that was a hamstring injury as well. So fair play to him. But he looked like he wanted to. It looked like he meant business, and he took care of business when he came on. So fantastic. Really impressed with how we handled things after we went the goal up. Stayed very controlled, did not panic at all. And City, when that goal went in, they didn't really rally that much. And I'm going to be going into some stats, which hopefully will kind of reflect that as well from what I've seen. But they didn't have anything to kind of change or do. And like I said, Haaland, I don't want to say he had a stinker, because he just didn't do anything. He didn't really do anything bad, because he just didn't really do anything. Now, was that partly because of him or because of how good our defense was? It's probably a bit of both with these things. But let's go into some of the stats here and see. Let's see how this works. So, right, I want to get control of this as well. Here we go. Now, we've got some breakdowns of just some interesting stats from the game. This is from canonstats.com, so shout out to them. I subscribe to them. Really, if you're into your footy stats and XG and all field tilts and all that kind of nerdy stuff, these are the guys to check out. So please do, if you want to find out more information on the kind of details and the devils and the details of the game, canonstats.com. Thank you. So, right, let's scroll down here. So, right, on this interesting graphic here, we can see the shots that were taken by both sides, and you can see the difference where all the Arsenal shots are coming from. This is Odegaard here, right? But there's quite a bit of variety from where we're shooting from, but some of these are quite almost pot shotty, really, and not in the most ideal of positions. That's Martinelli's one there. That's the one in yellow. That's where we scored. But look at City shots. We reduced them to hardly anything. They had 4 shots all game. I think 1 on target. Unbelievable. We had 12 shots in the whole match. So I think it's the lowest shot total City have had since Pep has gone there. It's been a long time since he's had such a poor poor output in a match. So very, very interesting. We got field tilt, which, to be honest, I'm still trying to get my head around this stat, but it's the share of touches in the final third of the field. So the more colouring you've got on here, the more touches you've had in the final third compared to the opposition. So you can see here, it actually makes Arsenal look fairly dominant. However, watching the game, I wouldn't have thought that. It felt a lot closer than this kind of graphic would suggest. I'm still learning about this graphic, and hopefully I'll be able to be a bit more informative with it on the next video, because there is clearly something going on here. But yeah, watching the game and then seeing that, the two don't add up to me. But let's scroll down, because there's some interesting things here. I quite like this one. This is the passing network. So on the circles here, the bigger the circle, the more that the more number of touches that player has had, so that they're having quite a big influence on the game. So, for example, William Saliba's got a bigger circle than Eddie Nketiah. So William Saliba has had a much more effect on what's happening. So if we look at the key players for Arsenal, again, that's actually interesting, because you've got the goalie, Gabriel, Jorginho, and Saliba, and possibly Zinchenko. You'd have thought Declan Rice would have had a bigger circle here, but apparently not. And the thicker the line, the more the number of passes. So, for example, the most popular pass of the match looks to be Saliba to Jorginho and Raya to Gabriel here. But as you can see, our major players were the goalie, Gabriel, Saliba, Jorginho, and I would say Ryza. You know, he did some good interceptions as well. For City, I mean, look here, you've got Ederson, Ake, and Ruben Diaz. I thought Ruben Diaz had a really, really good game. And I thought Bernardo Silva did as well. Now, obviously, City were missing De Bruyne and Rodri. So if we were ever going to beat them, you know, yesterday was the time to do it. But hey, every team has injuries. We didn't have Saka or Thomas Partey or Martinelli starting. And if you had told me, like last year, hey, you're going to beat City next year without those players, I'd have said you're having a laugh. But yeah, this lines up with what I saw yesterday in the match with Ake, Silva, and Diaz, and their goalie as well. So very, very interesting. But there you can see William Saliba was really the heartbeat of keeping us ticking over here. So let's scroll down a bit. We've got a few more things here. So please hold caller. Right, okay, the Arsenal shot map. I was going to do the City one, but I don't really care about the City one. So we had a brief kind of look into this earlier on, but this is where all our 12 shots were coming from. Again, that's our goal in yellow there. This here is Martin Odegaard. Now, I'm assuming it's Odegaard. I don't know if he's been instructed to take more long shots recently, but it certainly looks like that's what he's doing. And I don't think it's really coming off very well. So I don't know if he's doing it because he was scoring more and so his confidence is high, and so he just thinks he's going to bang it in. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the next games going forward. But I think you've got Gabriel Jesus doing these shots here. But like I said, we did pepper them from all sorts of different angles. And like I said, 12 shots to their 4. Fair play. But none of these are really great opportunities, though, I don't think. None of these are kind of ideal here. And even the goalie's still got a bit to do, but he manages to get it done. But 12 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal. You know, fantastic stuff. Now, this is quite interesting here. So after Arsenal go 1-0 up, you kind of think, okay, it's going to be a onslaught now from City, and Arsenal's going to have to hold on and like backs to the wall, kind of park the bus, all that kind of bullshit. And that's not what happened at all. In fact, if anything, it was almost the opposite. After that, Arsenal attempted 45 passes after going ahead. City had 23, which is pretty impressive that ours was half that. at 80% pass completion to City's 52%. So I don't know what happened to them. Average distance, 8.7 yards. So we weren't really pinging it too far. But this bit here I like. 2 sequences with 7 or more passes after going ahead. And Arsenal had moves of 12 and 16 passes. And as it says in here, you know, that just kills any momentum for City, having those that number of sequences of passes, and also just kills the time. You know, it really just kills the time that the clock, running the clock down, and injury time and all that kind of stuff. So let's have a look on here. We've got William Saliba, 97.1% pass completion. What was this, Declan Rice? Let's see, Declan Rice, 90% pass completion. Yeah, I mean, just all beautiful stuff here. So, you know, let's shut that down. It's just it gets a bit nerdy there, but it's interesting to look at stuff like that. Sometimes your eyes lie, sometimes they don't, you know, and there were certain things that I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't quite see that in the game. For example, I'd have thought Rice had a bigger influence maybe than Saliba, but actually he didn't, according to those stats. So, and understanding, you know, like watching the game, you saw how Arsenal stole the game out. But then understanding, okay, this is how they did it with those sequences, those 2 sequences of 7+ or more passing moves. It really does, yeah. It just shows the calmness that they had and the confidence that they had. I remember on like 80 minutes, we hadn't even scored at this point, just thinking, oh wow, we haven't cocked it up yet. We haven't done something stupid. Our head hasn't gone, our arse hasn't gone. We've really stayed in this game really, really well. So I was kind of proud of the team. It looked like they had learned. And that was at 0-0. We hadn't even scored at that point. So let's get on to some final thoughts here. Now, I think for a while now, Mikel Arteta has had some daddy issues when it comes to Pep. Obviously, he learned under Pep, spent many years under Pep. He's a good friend of Pep's. He's a mentor to him. He looks up to him. He's the standard that Pep is the standard that Arteta is trying to reach. And I do wonder if sometimes that's created a bit of a mental block in his brain. I don't think it's any coincidence that Man City is the only team in the league that Arteta hadn't beaten before. We beat them in the Cups and we beat them in the Charity Shield, but hadn't done it in the league. And he's finally overcome that yesterday. And I think you may see a difference in how City and Arsenal kind of handle each other when it comes to like before these games. I think City are very dismissive of Arsenal as a team. And, you know, maybe rightfully so. They've beaten us just beat us twice a year in the league for like the last, I don't know how many years, for a very long time. So they have a right to be that confident, arrogant about things. But I think that will change from yesterday. You know, at the end, you had Kyle Walker squaring up to Arsenal's set piece coach, like trying to give it the big one. It's like, what are you doing, mate? You're a twat. You're an idiot. Just get off the pitch. But it's because it really hurt them losing. So I think that will give Mikel a psychological boost. I hope it gives the team a psychological boost. We've come through that, and you can only hope that that sets a new level for them to kind of reach now, week in, week out. Just one other thing regarding confidence, I would talk about Havertz in this situation. He really played a big role in that goal, and I wonder if the fact he's had good performances against City in the past has really helped him when he came on. So glad he got the opportunity to do that. My favourite ESR didn't get on, but I can't really complain. We won 1-0, so there we go. In terms of the title, you know, we're 2 points ahead of City, which after 8 games did nothing, just means nothing right now. So it is more of a psychological boost, and it is a point swing. You know, we could have gone 4 points behind or 2 points ahead, and we've gone 2 points ahead. So it is like a 6-point swing effectively doing that. So that is huge in itself. And it shows people, other teams, that City are gettable. You can get to them, you know. assuming you can get through the referees, because that's one thing I haven't talked about, is I don't really want to talk about it too much because it kind of detracts from the performance of the team. But the referees were absolutely shite yesterday. Kovacic should have been sent off. Firstly, for a straight red on Odegaard, goes right through the back of him, no real attempt to play the ball, takes his ankle out, and then 5 minutes later, pretty much does the same thing to Declan Rice. And, you know, so lucky that it didn't, none of them got seriously injured through it. And then can you imagine if Kovacic had scored a goal? It just would have been horrific. So that was another thing, though, where in the past, maybe that would have got to the team, that we didn't get the decision. We didn't let it affect us. We just stayed true to our game plan and had belief and got things over the line. So congratulations to the players. Congratulations to Arteta. You beat Pep. You finally did it. You know, you beat Pep. You beat the state country that owns Man City. You beat them despite the 115 charges of cheating that they got hanging over their heads. And then you beat the referees as well, because the referees tried to steal it away from us. So you beat everyone yesterday. Fantastic. Why is the vase keep popping up here? So great stuff. Great victory. We can go into the international break and relax, laugh at everyone else, you know, that had bad results. I've actually, Man United won, didn't they? And Chelsea won. And Tottenham with 10 men won as well. So no one else really had any shockers. Liverpool drew, which was good. Shame they didn't lose. But either way, we're joint top of the league with Spurs. So I wonder how long that will last. Surely Spurs don't want to do it like this year, are they? Possibly not. Hopefully not. So yeah, great stuff. Looking forward to the international break. Looking forward to going back and watching more of that game again yesterday. I'm probably going to watch the game again. You always learn more things. And just really, really happy. So quite a long video, this one. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please subscribe, please feel free to comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.